All right, you guys, welcome back to more Black Mirror episodes as well as some headlines. Got a huge update at the end of today's show about what happened to Gene Hackman and some groundbreaking revelations that prove that something is not right. This is new information based on my personal experience. So I can't wait to share that with you guys at the end of the show today. Now, we're going to cover 3 Black Mirror episodes today, one in full detail and the other I'm just going to do some mentions and some screenshots for you. But let's start with this first one here. Now, if you're not aware, Black Mirror is a sci-fi TV series. I think it's based out of the UK, and it's renowned for showing future events before they happen. It's more like a technology sci-fi series talking about the problems with technology and where everything's headed. There's a lot of disclosure. And in this season, it's all about artificial intelligence. And of course, we know why that is, right? Because that's where everything's headed, isn't it? AI. So they're literally telling us the future of how this is going to play out. So let's start with this first episode. Now, this time, it's a high school grudge. These 2 women here, this is Maria, and this woman is Verity. And she is basically the one being picked on. She's like the nerd in high school. And Maria is the popular one. And there's some weird aspect to this that involves some kind of witchcraft as well as a mainframe that changes reality. Literally, they tell you one theory about how the Mandela effect is happening in this episode. Now, this woman, Maria, works in a food company. This is the company here. And she's basically invents new flavors for different foods. And then this high school nerd shows up. Verity is her name. And she's like, I kind of remember her, but I don't. But then she realizes that she is the girl that she made up horrible rumors about in high school. And so she's wondering why this girl came to work at her job. Well, she finds out soon enough. It's a grudge, and the kind of grudge you could never imagine yourself going through, because the rails come, everything goes off the rails here. So after Verity starts, all these weird things start happening to Maria. And all of a sudden, Maria starts remembering things different than everybody else. She literally has a Mandela moment. Let's take a look here.
Barney's, does it matter?
So I see the logo every single day, so I know it is Barney's.
It matters that she's wrong.
Oh my God, okay. Let's Google it.
Yeah? Okay, let's do it. Let's Google it.
Yep. No.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No, look.
Oh, dearie me.
No.
No.
Barney's chicken.
Oh, dear.
It was not that.
Oh.
It wasn't that.
No. Is the whole internet wrong today? Oh, that's annoying, isn't it?
Look at this.
What about it?
It's changed.
From what?
You just read it. It used to say Barney's.
Why? It's Bernie's chicken. Always been Bernie's.
I swear to God, it's changed.
Maybe you just think it has. Maybe it's like the Mandela effect, that people misremember things. Like...
I remember what I wrote and how I wrote it. I am saying that Verity is mistaken. Please stop shouting at me. I am not shouting.
You've been raising your voice.
Maria, but in the email you sent me, it just says non-pork gelatin. I know what I wrote.
I think you need to calm down.
I am calm. I am... She altered it somehow.
Whoa.
I don't know how or why, but she
Maria.
must have. Gabe, please, come on. You have known me for years. Will you please just listen to me?
So Maria starts going crazy because she remembers things differently than everybody else. And it isn't revealed right away why this is happening, but it seems to be related to Verity, the girl she picked on in high school. She can't quite figure it out, but she starts to lose her mind. Now, we find out later that Verity became a computer expert and that she's able to manipulate electronic data. But there also seems to be some kind of NLP aspect to this, like neuro-linguistic programming and suggestibility. But really, in the end, we find out it's a quantum computer that can literally change reality on the fly. Let's keep watching here.
Will you please just listen to me?
I am.
That is not even possible. I've got a nut allergy.
No such thing as a nut allergy.
What's nutology?
I didn't do that. A nut allergy.
What?
Nutology?
An allergy to nuts.
So in this scene, essentially, Verity drinks the almond milk of a coworker in the refrigerator, and then they blame it on Maria. And they go back and review the footage, and of course, it's been altered. Now, at this point, Maria finally thinks she's figured out how Verity is doing this. It has something to do with the teardrop pendant around her neck.
Look, just.
It's that pendant thing.
Maria.
Oh my God.
Look.
She's changing things.
Okay, whoa. Hey.
Now, of course, her coworkers think that Maria is going crazy because they're stuck in this quantum reality. To them, everything is real that Verity's doing, but to Maria, it's not. So Maria, at her wit's end, she essentially follows Verity back to her house to try to figure out what the heck is going on. She knows it has something to do with the teardrop pendant. And what she arrives at is a huge mansion with a data center underneath, just like the data center that Trump's building in Abilene, Texas, called Stargate AI. Let's keep watching here. Now, here is my theory on the Mandela effect. I believe that there is something happening. Now, the theory that they present here is that the Mandela effect is a trick of quantum computing, coupled with some kind of hallucinogenic illusion, right? Now, when it comes to absolutes and truth, I've learned over the years not to deal in absolutes. When evidence can be perceived subjectively from both sides of an argument, because all that does is create conflict and division. It's the devil's playground, and he loves division. Now, I can have my personal feelings about some of these things, but I'm never going to tell you absolutes about those things. But think about this. What better way to try and discredit the Bible than to make people believe that it can no longer be trusted? And that is the question you need to ask yourself. The Mandela effect is something, but what is it is the question. Now, at this point, Maria steals the pendant while Verity is in the shower.
It's just a remote. Connects the quantum compiler downstairs. That's what changes reality.
And then we get the truth, as you just heard Verity say, that essentially it's a quantum computer that changes reality in real time. And the teardrop pendant around her neck is just a remote control. So essentially, Maria is stuck in various timelines at the whim of Verity. Now, Verity laughs at Maria, and then she shows her all of her backup remote controls. She's like, you got one of the remote controls, but I've got more. And this is where I was like floored, because this is everything we've been talking about. Watch.
Look, I'll show you how it works. You don't fucking... Connects the quantum compiler downstairs. That's what changes reality. Just retunes our corporal frequency to one of the parallel realities where whatever I've said has always been true. I've got loads of them.
Bingo. 6 and 6 remote controls. And there's that number 66 again. the twinning, the digital twin, the Gemini. Now, if you think I'm crazy, just because I see 6 and 6 pendants, which of course is 12, but it's the way that they're arranged. Watch this next scene, which confirms the 6-6 connection.
It's infinite timeline, so I just picked the one where you're the only one who knows what's going on. It's quite cool though, isn't it?
I don't understand.
We'll put it all back again.
And there is the tail right there in the lower corner, just beneath where she grabbed the pendants from, the 6 and 6 pendants. And there you see 2 6-sided lamps. Now, if I weren't to have looked hard enough, you would have just written off the 2 rows of 6 pendants as nothing, right? Or in my head, or pareidolia. But when I show you the other clues in the scene, this is where you begin to wake up to the truth. This has always been about the digital twin, going back to the garden. The first 6 generations of man on Cain's side and Seth's side had identical names. They were somehow linked, but in different bloodlines. 6 and 6. And just like those days before the days of Noah, it will be like in the end times. Something similar will happen in the last days. A twin of some kind. Now, I'm not going to spoil the ending for you, but is there some truth to this? Well, that's up to you to decide. Now, I screened a couple more episodes. They don't warrant a full decode, but I have a couple things that are worth mentioning. I do have some screenshots. This particular episode is about something we've been talking about over the years. Clones, Hollywood actors and actresses who are clones from the vintage era of Hollywood. Well, this episode is a variation on that, as this woman right here runs a company in which she reboots old vintage era classic films, except in this case, she uses a woman instead of the lead man. And how does she do it? She immerses the modern actress into a digital reality. She puts a brain chip on her. She goes to sleep into a dream state. They record the whole thing. All the actors and supporting actors in the dream state are AI generated. Watch.
They're way out of my price league. Well, what if I told you my company has an affordable way?
Now I got to pause this for copyright, but she says, my company has an affordable way
To take a shuttered classic like Hotel Reverie and almost instantly recast the lead with a contemporary Hollywood star.
So essentially a digital twin again, right? So it's pretty much what we were talking about, a little bit of a variation on it. But how many of these shows have we done over the years where I show you someone from the vintage era and a modern actor or actress that looks almost identical? In fact, we just did one last week with Greta Garbo and Kirsten Dunst, who looked almost identical. It was so creepy. Let's keep watching here.
You will be able to afford because you'll only need 96 minutes of it.
Now, I think there's a little bit more here. Now, here's the actress who takes over the lead role. She's literally in the dream state right now. All of these supporting actors behind her are AI generated within her mind. Let's watch this.
Real world.
So who they gonna think I am?
Being in a real world.
So who they gonna think I am?
They'll just think you're Alex Palmer, doctor of tropical medicine.
Who's a middle-aged British white guy?
So, of course, she doesn't fit the role, but she kind of does, because to everyone inside of this reality, not everyone, but every it, because they're all AI generated, they think that she's the lead actor.
They'll just accept that you're Alex Palmer, the character in the story.
40 whatever, and it's just fine.
That's fine.
It's fine?
Yes, that's fine.
It's fine.
They're AIs. They're constructs.
So she explains to her that all these supporting actors are AI constructs within the dream state.
They only know the parameters of the story and the character names. I know it sounds crazy. It won't even cross their minds.
Wow, pretty wild, right? Now, here's another episode worth a mention. Another AI storyline. So AI is the theme for the most recent Black Mirror season. This man here on the ground gets a hold of a computer game back in the 1980s. The computer game holds one of the very first artificial intelligences. And he grows attached to these entities inside the game that interact with him, and they can reproduce inside the hard drive. So he nurtures these entities over the decades of his life. And he can, even though they speak gibberish, he can understand them because he does acid, and acid makes him a receiver. So he's able to interact and understand what they're asking him to do. And they tell him to keep building out the computer, keep building it up. And they keep replicating as the computer hard drive keeps getting bigger and bigger. And then at some point, this guy integrates with the entities by hardwiring his own brain and plugging them in through the back of his head. The entities then instruct him to basically get captured by the police, which is what's happening in this scene. He pretends to steal something. And the reason why they tell him to get captured by the police is so that while he's being questioned, he can send a signal through the camera that's watching them on the closed circuit TV. And the signal then infests all of humanity with a cell phone signal. And it resets everyone's brain so that they too can integrate with the entities. Wow. Now this scene right here, again, this is where they first pick the guy up by the police, and the rest of the episode is him, being questioned, and he's telling the whole story. But listen to this.
Walker, no prior arrests.
Good boy till now.
Mr. Walker, in line with the Bioidentity Act 2029, I'm taking a DNA swab. If you could...
The Bioidentity Act of 2029. And just before this, they took a facial recognition shot of him to confirm his identity. And this is where it's all headed, you guys. We're already here, okay? The national ID, and I know I just keep going on about this, but this is vitally important because this national ID will segue into the mark of the beast. It will. This is why it's so important, all right? It is the first step. A national ID, a very detailed print of your face, identification, federally controlled, which will plug into Stargate AI, make no mistake, and they will be able to find your face real time on any camera in America. This is what we've allowed our elected officials to do because we're stuck in the right-left paradigm, and we keep thinking it's Joe Biden versus Trump, and it's not. It's all of them working together. And until we finally realize that, we will just keep marching toward the mark of the beast. I've never seen anything quite like it, you guys. To this day, people will come to the channel and say, why are you picking on Trump? I said, you still don't get it, do you? It doesn't matter who's in office. They're all marching toward it. And to prove my point, Biden was working on Stargate AI before Trump was. They were already building and planning and getting permits for all of this stuff while Biden was still in office. We've got to wake up. And if you think one is better than the other, you're still asleep. I'm sorry to say. So, those are the next 3 Black Mirror episodes. I will continue to decode the season. I think there's three more episodes left. Welcome, everybody. Let's get into some of these headlines. Now, I'm not going to give away that last episode, the ending, but it's crazy, to say the least. But I guess we can add boats to the trains, planes, and automobiles. Now it's trains, planes, automobiles, and boats that are crashing out. Coast Guard rescues 4 passengers from a capsized boat off the Florida coast. 1 dead, 5 missing. They're probably all dead. If you didn't know about the Florida coast, there are sharks, sharks, sharks. So it's likely most of these people have died on this capsized boat, unfortunately. You guys, this is crazy. All this stuff's happening. When have we ever seen this many stories of trains, planes, and automobiles? Let's go and get an update from Tariff Biff. Tariff Biff. Fight, fight, fight. Tiffany Trump update. It's all about the FF. FF is 6'6". Trump lives on the 66th floor and won the 58th presidential quadrennial election 58 years after 1958, and then he won it again 66 years after 1958. 66 is FF. This is why we have tariffs and Biff and Tiffany's. So what's going on now? Well, Trump considers pausing his auto tariffs as the world economy endures a whiplash. Now, here's my question. How are companies supposed to make plans for the future about where they're going to build their factories with all this uncertainty, all this flip-flopping? Well, here's the answer. They'll never tell you this. I'll tell you, but they're never going to tell you this. The people at the top know exactly what they're doing and exactly how all this is going to shake out. But we don't. We're left in the dark, and all we see is this flip-flopping and uncertainty in the market. Wow. Now, here's the question. What's going to happen when AI takes all the jobs? Yes, AI is coming for the jobs. This next story, a tech investor says AI is already coming for jobs, and two professions should be very nervous. Now, understand this. Labor has always been considered as a bargaining chip against the controllers, hasn't it? Your labor means something. It has value because without our labor, these people can't get rich, can they? They need us to get rich off of. Okay? They siphon our energies. They vampirize our talents and gifts. And that used to mean something. It was valuable. Kind of like the Second Amendment. It's something that people see as necessary, as a hedge against tyranny. Well, what happens when they no longer need us for labor? What happens when your value as a laborer means nothing to these people? Now, we all started to see this coming on. I saw it at the end of my career in pharmaceutical sales. They just treat you as though you're disposable. They don't need you anymore. It didn't always used to be like that. People used to work for companies for their entire life. Now the average job is about 3 to 5 years. And you ask yourself, why would someone train someone, send them through all this training, invest all this time and money into someone only to fire them or let them go for no reason or at the whim of the market? Well, this is how our economy is built. This is what we signed up for. This is what we vote for. Every single time we go to the polls, we keep supporting this broken system and no one demands that it changes. And then we wonder why bad things happen to us. So here's where it's all headed. Complete and total control. Our labor no longer means anything. And if you think your blue-collar job is safe, understand that 90% of even blue-collar jobs will be automated on some level, 3D printed, remote controlled with robotics. It's just a matter of time as this technology continues to come online, unless we all band together and oppose these emerging technologies and stop seeing this stuff as conspiracy theory and start seeing it as the truth. Notice how both sides of the aisle have fully embraced where all these things are headed as some sort of natural progression towards the future. Now, I don't accept that, and neither should you. Let's read this. Look at this. Wow. Victor Lazarte, general partner of Benchmark, said AI is fully replacing people. Now, what did we think was going to happen when all of these oligarchs that are sitting under Trump right now, these tech billionaires, have already said all this over the last 10 years? We've had them on record saying this over and over again. 2 white-collar professionals should be very nervous, lawyers and recruiters. Well, you could probably lump in real estate agents with that as well. Lazarte also said companies will become more valuable and much smaller. One tech investor isn't buying the corporate spin about AI boosting workers. Big companies talk about like AI isn't replacing people, it's augmenting them. Wow. And he says that's BS. It's fully replacing people. And he's telling the truth. So, when is humanity going to wake up and put a stop to this by opposing it fully? I don't know if they ever will. I don't believe the Bible says they will. Now, let's get an update on Gene Hackman. Now, I've got a bombshell for you guys today. Gene Hackman, Betsy Arakawa's property, was breeding ground for infestation with dead rodents, feces all over. In hindsight, they're now saying that the property was a cesspool of rodent nests, dead rodents across multiple buildings, 18 buildings on the property, and half of them were infested. And yes, it's very important to maintain rodent control around your property. These rodents build nests, and as you can see in this particular story, it's not healthy. This is something out of a horror movie, you guys. This is insane. Now, apparently there were traps. They tried to control the problem, but you would think with all this money that these people have made, that they would have hired someone to take care of this. When I see wealthy people like this not hiring somebody, it makes you scratch your head, doesn't it? Now, their attempts were ineffective. Of course, no rodent control companies have come forward saying that they assisted in this. So let me tell you the bombshell. Down here in the article, it says that they had Gene Hackman's pacemaker going offline 9 days before they were discovered. So, one of my good friends who I work with in pharmaceutical sales, after we both left the company we were at, he went on to work for a company called Boston Scientific, and they make pacemakers. And his job was a support rep to calibrate pacemakers for the patients. So he was in and out of the hospital every single day. Patients would come in, he had to like hook up some wires or something and calibrated the pacemaker. Well, here's what happens, and he told me this long ago. Essentially, you're a walking GPS signal when you have a pacemaker in. And when the pacemaker goes offline, any problems with the pacemaker, and the doctor is alerted that, and in fact, this is how they know to bring the patient in for calibration. I remember having discussions with this guy about all this. So I looked it up just to make sure my memory served me correctly. And lo and behold, yes, if a pacemaker malfunctions or stops functioning properly, a signal is generally sent to the patient's doctor. So why did it take 9 days after the signal went offline for people to show up to a prominent actor's house? And this is the bombshell proof that something is not what it seems. Wow. Now, let me check in with you guys. Then I have a brand new vaccine that they're talking about bringing to market. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Matrix. Wow. Okay, I got to make you guys a little bit bigger because I can't see you. Okay, that's better. Reaping what we're sowing. Yes, we walked right into their trap. And unfortunately, anytime someone tries to warn people about what's coming, no matter how many times you're right about the future, you're seen as a conspiracy theorist. We've been right dozens of times, haven't we? Every week we're right about something we were talking about in the past that is happening in our current reality. But people's attention span is so small, they can't even follow through with a thought or a line of reasoning. They immediately default to conspiracy theorist, right? And that's the programming. So you can't really blame people for doing that because they've been programmed to think that. There have been countless movies discrediting people like us, no matter how many times you're right. I've even been told, oh, he must be a shill because he's too accurate. How does he know all this stuff? So then you get that end of the spectrum and accusations. But let's get into this. And one of you guys sent this to me. Arcturus Therapeutics. And guess what they're coming up with? Remember, they're supposed to be a new cancer vaccine that's supposed to come out that's going to be generated by Stargate AI. Well, check this out. Now they got a influenza A, H5N1, FDA fast track, and what do they name it? Star. Oh, that has absolutely nothing to do with Stargate. Of course it does. This just came out April 10th, 5 days ago. Arcturus Therapeutics. Now, of course, Arcturus is one of the constellations mentioned in the Bible. Believe it or not, there are several constellations mentioned in the Bible in the book of Job, which suggests that God named some constellations. The Pleiades is mentioned in the Bible in the book of Job, as well as Orion and Arcturus. I believe Arcturus is the bear. So these people, it's blasphemy through and through, all over the place. April 10th, 2025, Arcturus Therapeutics Holdings, a commercial messenger RNA medicine company focused on the development of infectious disease vaccines and opportunities within liver and respiratory rare diseases, today announced that the U.S. FDA has granted fast track designation for self-amplifying. Wow, what could go wrong with self-amplifying mRNA? Wow. So, fast track, warp speed, Stargate. This is the future. Until people start waking up and at least asking some tough questions. Now, I want to talk to you guys about something. I'm trying a new style of presenting. I'm trying it not to present as if the listener is fully awake yet. So don't mistake my softness on some subjects for ignorance. I'm simply trying to soften the truth pill for those who might not be fully awake. So sometimes I'll present things as a question, as if I don't know, but I really do know. You're going to hear me asking a lot of questions, hypothetical questions. You're going to hear me staying away from absolutes. Again, don't mistake that for me being unaware or still half asleep. It's simply to be able to reach out to the people who still may be pondering these questions. So when you present evidence like a guy's pacemaker went offline and it took 9 days for the doctor to figure it out, that would make anybody wonder what the heck is going on, right? Or when you see all these therapeutics linked into Stargate AI, an artificial intelligence, which should have nothing to do with each other, that can make people wake up or ask questions, can it? Or when we start decoding episodes of a TV series, Black Mirror, that essentially is talking about exactly some of the same topics that we talked about literally weeks before the episodes even aired, that will help some people wake up. But if I get on here and rant and get angry and call people sleep sheep, that's not going to help people wake up, is it? So you're going to see me withhold sometimes my own personal beliefs on certain topics that could be divisive in favor of the beliefs that we can actually prove or that we have substantial evidence. I had a few people upset with me a couple days ago in the comments saying things like, you should know that, or you're not awake yet. I am, but I'm trying to present as if I'm seeing this information for the first time. You see, there's a lot of you out there who have significant others or friends or families who have loved ones that are asleep, and you want to introduce them to the channel, but under the previous format, you might not have been able to do that. And this is life and death, you guys. I take this very, very seriously. We just had someone in the chat who lost their mother. And I think to myself, maybe if I was a little bit better at showing people the dangers of some of these things, and maybe if I just presented it in a different way, they would understand that if you put something into your body, it could kill you. This is how seriously I take this channel. This isn't just to get up and have fun and have a bunch of followers and have everybody, get together. This is life and death for some people. And in a certain way, I take responsibility when someone got the it and someone that they love died, because I couldn't do my job and present the true danger of this stuff. And this is how all of us should look at this stuff. When you talk to someone, it could be life and death because they are one pharmacy visit away from going to get it. Now, if you fail, it is what it is. You know, I had that feeling for a minute and then I let it go because God is in control, right? I'm not God. I can't convince everybody. But I take it personally when it's people that come to this channel who've lost someone. So, anyway, you guys, I love you all, and I hope you have a great day.